Ted Bundy was one of the most evil serial killers of all time. He killed at least 30 women that he confessed to on death row. This man was a law student. He was a brother, right? He was a cousin. He was an everyday guy. Meanwhile, behind his friendly mask was an evil serial killer. And he decapitated 12 of his victims. So, who is this monster everybody is talking about? Well, Ted Bundy was born a bastard child, right? He was born out of wedlock. His mother's parents, his grandparents, took him and raised him as their own for his first couple years of life. And basically his mother would be his sister, right? But then at the age of 4, his mother married a guy named Johnny Bundy, to the last name Bundy, obviously. And then Ted got a couple siblings. But Ted was a, not so sociable guy at times, right? And then this kind of continued all through high school. He never really went drinking, never went to parties, didn't really have any girlfriends. And everybody described him as a very attractive guy, right? He was very friendly, but he wasn't really outgoing. Like, he'd play sports, he'd hang out, but he wasn't like the life of the party, right? He didn't really desire to be. And thus was, of course, a precursor to him becoming one of the worst, most evil, wicked serial killers of all time, right? This is a common trait you see among serial killers, is that they are kind of antisocial. They're basically, in layman's terms, they're introvert. They act introverted. They're at high school, middle school. They have a couple of friends, couple of buddies, but nobody really close. Don't really have any romantic relationships, right? So, in 1969, Ted Bundy meets this girl named Liz Cleffer, right? Her pseudonym for a book is Liz Kendall. You may have heard that name. But she was his lover, girlfriend, etc. for, I would say it's about, 7, 8 years or so, right? She was with him kind of on and off through the trial. And then that's when he married Carol Ann Boone, one of the witnesses for the defense, right? It was actually a very funny story how he married her. He literally found this obscure law, and basically the judge has to recognize the marriage if you bring up in a court of law before a judge. So he ended up marrying her. But the victimology, victimology, he would basically, some of his victims, he would stalk them, and some were kind of just victims of opportunity, right? Like the late Simon Mish murders, which were Janice Ott and Denise Naslin. He had this cast on his arm, I believe it was his left arm, and he basically just walked around saying, "Hey, I'm Ted, I have my arms in a cast, can you help me load my boat onto my car?" And he kept doing this for hours, I believe, for a good while of time. And finally, this sweet, beautiful brunette girl, Denise Naslund, introduced herself. She helped him out, went back to the car, and that's when he abducted her and ended up murdering her after took her back to the spot. Went back that same day and found another beautiful girl, a blonde, and her name was Janice Ott, right? He also took her bicycle with him. The family ended up offering a big reward for they could find a bicycle, but nobody ever did. And not all of his victims, but 12 of his victims, he did decapitate them, right? And Ted Bundy, when he was being interviewed about his murders, he said that he murdered as basically forensic countermeasure. Murder was not part of the goal or part of the ritual. It was not enjoyable. It was not necessary. He only murdered his victims because he didn't need them to escape and identify them, right? Ted Bundy talked about a third person, basically talking about himself, but in a third person, that this person who would do this type of crime would basically get to a point where their true self, their normal self would come out and be like, okay, I can never do this again. This is wrong. What have I done? I've just murdered somebody, right? And then eventually that breaks down enough where you ignore your inhibitions, your morality, right? And so it changes from I'll never do it again to, well, don't ever get caught, right? Ted Bundy had no remorse. He even said, I'm the most cold-hearted son of a bitch you'll ever meet. This man had no remorse. He had no empathy. He had no care for humankind. You were just an object to him. So that is Ted Bundy, who he was, kind of in a nutshell. Very cold-hearted killer, very heartless. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you're sticking around. Stay true to yourself, stay true to your crime, and God bless you guys. I'll see you in the next one.